Hello again and welcome to the video. Thank you very much for joining me today. Wherever you're watching from, give me a shout out from. And thank you again for joining me. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. So today we've got something nice for you to watch. We've got two items from the late 70s. Well, one's from the late 70s, one's about 1980. The first one being this Duchess of Sutherland, which is part of the Hornby R697 Express passenger set that Hornby made in Margate in 1978/79. It's got a different catalogue number for 1978, but for 79 it was released under R697, and it came with 4 coaches. That's 2 LMS brake thirds and 2 composites, and today we've got them formed up in this lovely rake behind it with a Hornby TPO coach, TPO being travelling post office. And on track 2 we've got an item from 1980. This is the London Midland Scottish Railways compound 4P locomotive, and with a little rake of short wheelbase coaches, LMS period, and an LMS brake van on the back. So the compound loco on track 2, originally that had a smoke unit in it, but I took it out because it was a nice idea from Hornby, but unfortunately you had to have the thing pelting round at full speed round your piece of track or your layout to get any smoke to come out of it, and that's not really realistic for me. And the second thing is that they forgot to tell you that when you filled it up with smoke oil after you'd had a day's running and you picked the loco up and you went to put it back in the box, it tipped all out the chimney and all inside the chassis everywhere and all over the loco body, and it's made a nasty mess. And obviously smoke oil after a period of time does tend to discolour the paintwork finish on any loco, so I took it out, to be honest with you. Wasn't really a good idea in my opinion, so I just removed it, and it runs I think far better without it. But it was a little novel idea that Hornby had. Hornby went through a period in the it started back from the days of Triang and Hornby Triang back in the 50s and the early 60s, when they had smoke units in the Britannias and all the sort of things like that, and up until the 80s and the 90s they had smoke units in their locos, the Margate made stuff. But I think that smoke effects on a steam loco model wise, they're great, but a lot of people fail to notice that the modern smoke units you can get for locos, unless they're properly encapsulated in heat shrink, they will melt your 250 pound loco into a lump of plastic around the chimney, which isn't very good. So I think, again, smoke units are great, but unless they're done really properly, I don't think they need to be done at all. I know over in the States, with their G-scale stuff and their O-gauge line L stuff, it's done really lovely because they're designed to do that. But I think they look good without smoke. Anyway, that's just my opinion. But if you've got a smoker at home, train, not a member of the family, good luck to you. But I just think they're a little bit messy. And the other thing as well you got to watch with smoke oil is not only does it get everywhere, it can get on the track, it can get on all over the loco, and also you've got to refill it, because after a period of time it uses up all the smoke oil. You're left with a rather hot element, and what happens is it can burn out quite easy, or it get too hot and just melt the chimney. So again, that's why I've took mine out. Anyway, let's get on with some running today and let's enjoy the trains. So Charlie from Canada, he did ask me what this piece of equipment was in between the rails there, and that simply is the travelling post office or TPO ramp. Has to do with the collection apparatus, which I'll demonstrate now. You put a mailbag on the hook like so. And underneath our mail coach there's a little shoe that as soon as it engages with that ramp, it opens the collection net. I'll do an overhead shot so you can see what I'm talking about. Like so. And if we come over here, it will spit it out in that bin or thereabouts, hopefully. There we go. Lovely. Now normally with the set you get about 4 or 5 of those, but I've got loads. I've got tons of them here. So we're going to sit and play with these for a little bit, I think. Why not? So as mentioned, this set originally was manufactured by Hornby at the Margate factory in Margate in Kent, about 1978-79. My version was released in 1979. I think it was basically the previous year's stock, but just reissued under a different catalogue number name, R697. Here's the box. The original box, not the original box I received Christmas morning 1980, but it's the original box that went with the set, and the set is all complete and original as was manufactured in 1979 by Hornby. Everything's sourced from eBay as a set, so I was quite happy to get that. Again, I've done loads of reviews and information on this on the previous video on the channel, so there we are. Doesn't it look splendid coming down here? Look at that. Beautiful. And for a 1979 manufactured model, look at that, it just runs as smooth as silk. Admittedly, I look after it really well, and it hardly comes out the box. Wonder why. Okay, next up, something very interesting to go on the front of that. Stay tuned. Okay, so coming round now on track number 1, this is the Duchess of Hamilton with the experimental streamline casing on, as it would have been in the 1930s, pulling that rake of LMS coaches. Now, this is catalogue number R3101, and this was specially commissioned by Hornby to replicate the current Duchess of Hamilton that's in the National Railway Museum at York, with the experimental 1930s streamline casing that it was given just for a short, brief moment in its history before it was converted back to its normal Stania Pacific look. It basically looked like one of those when it originally came out, but they thought that in the 1930s the Art Deco streamlining of things was the way to go, and they looked at the LNER, I suppose, and they thought, okay, let's try it on one of our engines. And it looks okay, but I'm not a big fan of the streamlined cases on the Duchess models. I think they look nicer, much more nicer like that. But anyway, each to his own. It's a nice example, and I think it looks pretty cool going around with that rake of coaches on my little railway. And on track number 2, There's another vintage model from the Margate works. It's the LMS 462 Fowler tank engine. Again, made and manufactured in good old England in the Margate factory before it all went to China. And the less said about that, the better. And these old Margate models are a little bit noisy, despite the fact that I've lubed it and cleaned it and checked everything. It's just, unfortunately, it is what it is. They were quite notoriously noisy. I've got the China-made version in black, which is really super smooth and quiet. But I don't know, I think it gives it a nice character. It gives it a little bit of a uniqueness to it. Really sort of, you're going back to sort of triangle sort of style things. But I like it anyway. Okay, how about this? Wait for it. Two Duchesses together, how about that? think we may have to stop soon. It's getting a little bit full up in that receiving bin. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed the video today with that little bit of running, and obviously the old TPO going 10 to a dozen. I'm going to finish up with the video today with the last LMS item, and this is quite an oldie. This is an old mainline brand, Jubilee, and these are notoriously bad runners because they're just simply compared to today's modelling standards, they're a little bit of a disaster. Everything from the wheel finish on the flanges, the pickups, the motor, and the notorious Achilles heel of these particular locomotives, which is the plastic gears and the plastic split axles. It's got a split axle system on the drive wheels as compared to a solid axle that you just put through one side of the chassis and attach the wheels to. This has got the old triangle style split plastic axle system, and these are notoriously known for getting defects in terms of them splitting. And the only way you can cure it, there's two ways, is you can super glue the axles and repair them if they haven't split. If they have split, you can just, a bit of super glue normally cures that, but it'll be a matter of time before they go again or they completely fail. So a lot of people out there, there's one guy I've seen about on YouTube, and he's got one of these, and what he's done, he's got a Bachmann chassis, a Bachmann Jubilee chassis, and just put the mainline Jubilee model body on top and with the tender, and just done it that way. It looks good, but in my opinion, if you're going to go spend that much money on a Bachmann chassis for a Jubilee, you're more or less buying a brand new or a half decent Bachmann Jubilee anyway. So it just, to me, replaced the whole thing. But anyway, I keep this for a little bit of interest and a little bit of something to do. Should it go wrong, it's something to tinker with and something to, you know, carry on with. But anyway, I'll give it a run round the railway and see how it goes. It's probably going to be 100% smooth, but you've got to give it a fair amount of juice to get it to go. As you can see, it's struggling already. It's a real shame because these were made about 1978, these particular models, I think, from Mainline, which were part of the Airfix triage of companies. And back in the late 70s, made in China and Hong Kong, actually, this was made. But for for a decade old, well, several decades old model, considering it was made sort of in 1978, it's a really nice looking model. And what I like about these mainline models is their body mouldings are very, very good for the time. It's not running too badly, but you can't get any slow speeds out of it. And when you couple up things behind it, unfortunately, it doesn't haul it particularly too well. Hang on, let's put the other light one up here. That's better, isn't it? There we go. So she's a grand old girl, this thing. It's a shame because she is quite a nice looking model. But she just about runs, and I only got her to run half decently like this through a lot of TLC that I did to it when I got it off eBay. Really thorough clean, lube it up, check out all the axles that they're not split. Touch wood, they're not split so far, but it won't be a matter of time before they do split because it's an old model, but it's got a certain characteristic that I like about it. And they are quite a likeable model, even though you see them on eBay and you think, oh no, that's just a, excuse the pun, but it's a train wreck of a model. I'm not going to get involved in buying and wasting money on that. But it's got a certain appeal to it. And apart from the current Bachmann versions, if Hornby produce a Jubilee that looks as half decent as that, then I'd buy it. But only Bachmann do the Jubilees at the moment. As you can see, look, it's already coming to a crawl. it's already given up the ghost almost after a few circuits. It's putting every little bit of effort it can into it to go. It's a determined little engine. I'll bring it to a stop now. There we are. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, it's, considering, again, I won't repeat myself too much, but you think about this was made in 1978. The quality of the moulding on the detail there for a model at that time is fantastic. I think it's very good. But unfortunately, there's a lot wrong with this model. And one of the things, the Achilles heel, is the plastic axle system and the absolutely useless motor in there. And people say, well, can't you just put, get a modern chassis, put a modern motor in there? Well, the only one you can do, like I said, is a Bachmann Jubilee chassis, which is a complete drive unit with all the wheels, all the con rods, the motor, everything as a complete ready to go item. And you can put the body on it that's here onto the Bachmann chassis. Like I said, it can be done, but to me, you might as well just go and buy a brand new or half second-hand decent Bachmann Jubilee. It's a shame really, but everything on the drive system of this loco is utterly horrible. It's cheap and nasty. Even the wheels, they're not smooth. It's a real shame, because if I take off the loco and I show you real quickly in my little bench here, you can see these wheels are an absolute horror story. They're nasty. They're nastily cast and made. They're not designed well really, and there's lots of errors and sloppiness with it. They're not turned properly. They're rough, and they are just a very, very poor quality wheel in my opinion, and everything that goes with it is relatively cheap as well. It's a shame, because it looks nice for a model that you sort of have a paperweight on your desk or something like that, but as a functioning model, it's really not very good. I say, as you can see there, we're struggling to just go around the layout, my small little layout I've got. If you try and put a rake of, say, 8 or 9 coaches behind that, it won't move hardly. You've got to whack the controller up to the max to get it to move, and it'll slow down, and it's a shame. But I'm not going to throw it away. I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm not going to sell it. I'm just going to keep it. But I thought, just for the novelty of the video, I'd get it out and give it a little bit of a run. Is it a rather expensive paperweight for your desk or something? The answer, well, it's up to you, but it's a real shame. But you never know. You know what I'm like. If I see a reasonably priced, put my teeth in, I swear, it's not even time yet, a reasonably priced Bachmann Jubilee chassis on Fleabay, then I definitely will attempt to upgrade this model, because it can be done. And like I said, the body wise, it's quite nice. The tender's half decent, and the loco body itself is rather nice. So it's just, unfortunately, the letdown is the crappy chassis on these things, and they're a nightmare to convert to put a normal can type motor in this, because it's the old solid live chassis block system. It's basically a long barrel of a piece of cast metal that's split in two with a piece of insulated material down the middle, and it's a live chassis, so it picks up through the live chassis. In terms of, there's no wipers or pickups on this, it's actually a live chassis. So it's a bit of a pig, and it's just a horrible looking chassis and motor system. The motor's actually on the side, it's bored into the chassis, and you've got to take it out that way. It's not very nice. But anyway, there we go. That's the last model of the video. I hope you've enjoyed the video so far, and I'll see you definitely in the next video for another one. Maybe you'd like to see some LNER stuff running. You can get the A4 streamlines out or something like that, whatever you want to see. Let me know and I'll do it for you. Anyway, that's me done. Have a great day. Thanks for watching the video today, wherever you are. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you soon in the next one. Bye bye now.